So let's just get started real quick. Tell me. So you're from Las Vegas. You're doing some trade school stuff. Tell me what's going on in Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, nothing's really going on. I don't think anything really goes on in Las Vegas. It's just kind of like a city that people from California like to move to.
They like to move east and live in Las
hmm
Vegas. And you live
Yeah.
in the northern side in the suburbs.
I live in the southern side. I live in Henderson, if anyone listening knows what that is.
Sure, someone will. Tell me where Pax Pacifica comes from. That's your Instagram handle. It's your Twitter handle, but it also doesn't really have like very much to do with your actual band name. I want to know where that comes from.
Yeah. Before I started uploading music, I was gonna go as Pax Pacifica, but I googled it trying to see if it was already taken, and it's the name of some guy's book, so I didn't want to take it, and then like people look it up and find the book and think it's weird or whatever. So Pacific Purgatory, that one wasn't taken, or nobody claimed it already, so I just went with that one.
Is there a reason you want to go something in relation to Pacific? I mean, you're in Las Vegas, not exactly
Yeah.
on the coast.
I'm from Hawaii originally, and I lived there for 8 years, so that's where the Pacific comes from, obviously. And
What do you
then,
think of Spam Musubi?
oh yeah, everyone loves Musubi in Hawaii. Now everyone thinks like that's all they know for.
No, I just got to college, and my very, very Hawaiian neighbor, she told me she wouldn't let me go to college without teaching me how to make Spam Musubi.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much the only thing I can cook now, but it's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Now that's like the go-to, like if you're going on a field trip or some shit in school.
Yeah, so you live in Las Vegas. Have you ever considered dropping your student career to become an Elvis impersonator on the Strip?
Never. I don't even
Never.
like
It's
the
never
strip
crossed your
that
mind.
much. I don't think the people who live in Las Vegas don't really even go to the strip that much. Or maybe because we're all still underage, but when you go there, there's nothing really to see. You could just go to the casinos or see street performers and shit. I mean, can I swear on this? Is that okay?
Yeah, it should be fun.
All right. But yeah, if you live here, you kind of lose the magic of Las Vegas, I guess.
All right. So I did a bunch of research. You're part of this other collective
Mm-hmm.
called MK Ultra Support Group, right? And
Yep.
there's a bunch of other bands in there: Soda Boy 64,
Yep.
Negative XP, bunch of other musicians. How do you feel being in that kind of collective?
I think there's a lot of talented individuals in there. Very creative people. I think it has a big contribution to my earlier stuff and like the sound and getting the fans from that kind of group. But I think the future lies with somewhere else.
That's actually the second question I was going to ask you. I was going to say, so I mean, with being kind of lumped in with these other bands like Soda Boy and Negative XP, do you ever feel offended when you're kind of lumped into this genre of incel core? Like, do you prefer the term
Yes,
bedroom
yeah.
punk instead?
I prefer any term except for insular. I think that's such a
Yeah.
dumb term. I don't know. And now, like, I don't know, because I don't want to be pigeonholed as incelcore and only part of that weird meme kind of sound. So I'm really considering like maybe leaving it, just because I don't want to be associated with that kind of sound anymore. But I mean, any term except for insular is fine.
Yeah, I saw a lot of stuff like that on your Twitter.
Yeah.
Also, I see you've been getting a lot into like kind of Midwest emo music. Is there
Yeah.
any other bands besides? I saw you're interested in Mom Jeans. Any other Midwest emo bands that you've been kind of drawing inspiration from?
Been listening to a lot of '90s ones from like mostly American football. Everyone knows that one. Ghost of Marianos, I like that one. I don't really know. I have like a lot of different ones. I just put on a playlist on Spotify and I'll just save the ones I like.
So I noticed you've been getting a bunch of more musicians with you. You've been posting some pictures, some videos of you guys doing a bunch of band practices for some songs like "You're the Horse." What's your dream venue? Where do you want to play, and what other bands would you want to be a part of for a live show?
I kind of just want to play like basement shows or the kind of do-it-yourself indie ones, and I would love to collaborate or meet and play with other people in that scene, like the indie rock and bedroom pop or whatever. because that's what I was originally gonna be before I got into like negative XP and Soda Boy and stuff. I wanted to do bedroom pop like Claro and Kuko and shit. But I just didn't end up getting good enough to make music until a couple of years after they were big. So I got my music taste kind of changed, I guess. And so yeah.
Yeah,
But
I've noticed in a lot of your music, you have this, and a lot of your album covers, you have a lot of kind of like big Japanese influences. It looks like a lot of your music is inspired by your heritage from your family being Japanese American and also being from Hawaii.
yep.
How important would you say it is to you?
Pretty important. I mean, we've been Japanese American for many generations, like 5 generations. So we don't really speak Japanese or anything like that. But we still practice the cultural stuff for New Year's and Boys Day. Actually, yeah, Boys Day. That one is really, really, really like close to me, personal to me, I guess, because we used to celebrate Boys Day in Hawaii. It's like a big thing over there for the Japanese Americans. But yeah, I try to incorporate it just because the music is really personal to me. So yeah.
Makes it unique to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. I've also seen a lot of pictures of like people adding you on Twitter, people taking a lot of pictures, and then people like spray painting your name and graffiti on walls and like abandoned
Really?
buildings.
I did not see that one.
You didn't?
No, I didn't see that one.
I saw a picture of some guy spray painting your name on at least like a couple months ago. How does that kind of make you feel? Like how does it feel to have
Uh,
that kind of fan base? I mean, if not doing just spray painting, just the idea of having such a fan base that would be committed to doing things like that for you.
I think that's pretty cool. I think the fact that the music makes them kind of feel like that or willing to do that kind of stuff is pretty cool.
That's great, man. So you were talking about leaving MK Ultra support group. Would
Yeah.
you think about making a second band, like kind of dumping Pacific Purgatory, making something new, or would you just kind of create a new genesis with Pacific Purgatory for an almost like second act of the band after you kind of move on and do your own thing separate from the collective?
Yeah. Pacific Purgatory, that's a personal thing. It's like just me. So for the band, that's for live performances. We don't really make music with that. So I would keep the Pacific Purgatory handle and name just because I started it when I was like 16 or something. So I think it'd be cool to see how it grows as I mature and then like my music taste matures and I get better at making music. And I can kind of go back and see what I came from and how I grew. But I would love to start a band or like a separate project with a different name and like kind of work with other artists because right now the Pacific Purgatory thing is just me. So
That's cool. How do you make your music? What software do you use? What's your kind of method for how you make it? Do you start with lyrics? Do you start with the music first? Do you make it in the span of a week, in one day?
I use FL Studio. I pirated FL Studio, so I use that one.
Can relate, honestly. Truman,
Yeah,
he stole Logic.
yeah. um, the songwriting process usually starts with the track itself, the instrumental, like the bass and the chords on the guitar and the drums, and then I'll kind of sprinkle in some flair to make it more interesting. Afterwards, all that stuff is done, and then the lyrics come last usually.
And do you have a common theme that you do whenever you're writing all your lyrics? Looks like you have this kind of like pretty similar theme to like the other bedroom punk musicians with
Yeah,
this kind of like I guess like I'm sad, I'm in my bedroom and I'm making angry punk
yeah,
music about it.
yeah. I think yeah, it kind of is like that. I definitely have noticed that, so I want to change that in the
Make it a little
future.
more positive. Maybe
Maybe not more positive, just more bigger, bigger than just being in your room inside or whatever.
this is good. This is your growth. Yeah, this is what I mean, every artist goes through this.
Yeah.
Especially with Frat Mouse. Our first album was pretty weird. Like we were just essentially I've referred to it to a fan. Someone asked me about the first album and I called it Mom Jean's fan fiction. And it's something that we've kind of referred to it as since then.
Right.
And I mean, you just kind of move, like you just develop with your music until you kind of grow up. Like we're all going to college now, like so we're all doing different things now, and our music is definitely showing that. So I can see that you're probably going to be doing a very similar thing, with Pacific Purgatory. I'm pretty excited to see where it goes.
Thank you.
Where do you intend the band to be like in another year? Do you think you're going to be doing live shows after the pandemic? Do you think you're going to be making more albums, more music, bigger fan base?
Would love to do live shows. I think that's the main focus for me right now. Just practicing enough to get good enough for live shows. I mean, my whole goal with the Pacific Purgatory thing is I just want to play live shows and meet people in that kind of scene and like have experiences that I otherwise wouldn't have if I didn't get into music. And that's pretty much like it. I don't really care if I'm like the next big famous pop star or whatever.
That's great, man. All right. Well, I mean, that's all the questions I have right now. Is there anything else you'd like to mention briefly? Anything you feel like I missed? Anything you wanted to say that I skipped over?
Listen to my new single, Wicca Kids, out now on all platforms.
All right. Yeah. I'll put that at the end, and I'll put another song in the beginning. But I mean, thanks for being on the new Mouse House blog. I'll see where this goes. I'm really excited to see what else you produce. Hopefully you get a lot more attention through this. We'll do our best to promote you, and I'm really excited to see where you go in the future, man.
Thank you.